Varela. It's Latino Rebels Radio Live. It is Thursday, June 25th, 2020, in the time of pandemics and the movement for Black lives, just historic times that we're living in. And I have to say, to all the people that are here, that have been watching, that have been supporting, and we did the second iteration of shows, this is the last show for a little time. So we're going to finish strong, and we have, first of all, we have an amazing co-host. Let me start with the amazing co-host. Hello, Melinna.
Hello, Julio, Ricardo.
I know I haven't done Camilo Sesto in a long time, so I'm going to do it because this is the last show, and I know that you were named after the famous Camilo Sesto song. Right. So here we go. Let me introduce you again. Na 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 na, Melinna.
That's it. That is actually, I have my dad wrote down the lyrics when I used to live in New York. He was so cute. He would send me cards and mail, like snail mail, and on paper, old school style. And he wrote down the lyrics to the song, and it's actually on my wall right now. So yeah, that's.
Oh my God.
That's where the name come from.
And I will just leave you with this before we bring in and you can introduce our amazing guest. When we decided when Futuro Media said, hey, let's do the second iteration. And they said, do you have anyone you want to help out with the team? And I'm like, I do. And this is a true story because I have my cheesy Spanish music Spotify of all the cheesy Spanish, that I do now during a stay at home. And it shuffled to Melinna. And then I called you like 2 minutes later. So there you go.
I mean, that's the ancestors right there.
I was like, damn, like Camilo Sesto is telling me something. But listen, let me turn it over to you to take sort of the first part of this. And because I am super excited, you introduce our guest and I'm just going to sit here and just wait.
Yeah. So this second iteration of Latino Rebels Live during quarantine, during the time of the uprising, movement for Black lives, really has been amazing, and we're so lucky to be able to close out this second iteration of the show with such a phenomenal guest. I'm sure you all are familiar with her work. I am a fan. I'm an admirer, and I just want to bring in and welcome the amazing Aida Rodriguez, who is an actor, a comedian, a writer, an activist, just an all-around fuerza de mujer. Thank you for making time to talk with us tonight, Aida.
Thank you. I wasn't doing anything. So for taking me off my couch and potentially going down the slope of watching the news.
Right, watching the news while you're doing this. You're like, oh, okay, so good. We got you.
Yeah, yes, so we got to step away from the news sometimes. The consistent messaging, but it doesn't leave our consciousness, right? And that's right. what fuels your work, and that's what I think makes you so unique and such a breath of fresh air. So just, if you haven't already, as soon as we close out tonight, you need to get on Netflix or HBO or YouTube and watch some of Aida's amazing work, because it's hilarious, it's timely, it's honest and raw as fuck, which is what I love. So Aida, I'm just going to, hand it over to you and just tell us a little bit about your work and what brought you to, to be able to share it and to this moment in your career, and just talk to us about what you're doing and feeling.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm glad to be here. I'm all about, solidarity. So for me to be in spaces with people who are really about that, because a lot of people talk about it, but they really don't mean it. And, right. People are very comfortable in their own spaces. So I am a stand-up comedian and I'm a writer. I've been a writer my whole life since I've been able to write. And I don't want to try to act like I was some kind of savant and I was writing when I was in the womb.
You were like out of the womb. You came out of the womb and you're like, yeah, exactly. Okay.
Try to be smarter than they are. And I like to claim that I'm not as smart as anything so that I can continue to grow and learn. But I've been writing my whole life. And comedy is something that I've always wanted to do. Being an artist is something that I've always wanted to do. I wanted to create television. I wanted to create movies and create worlds of that reflect people who look like us, sound like us, feel like us, right? And so, comedy is something that came to me about 12 years ago that I had always wanted to do, and I finally was able to do, thanks to Jamie Foxx's platform and Chris Spencer, who created Hollywood Husbands and is a comedian and a producer in his own right. And I started writing. And, you know, I've always been an activist. I've been, you know, and I hate to say that word activist because I think it's corny because it's been mainstream now. So
Yeah.
everyone says, I'm an actor and I'm an activist. You know, I have a shirt.
Yeah. I have hashtags. Okay?
Yeah, I do a hashtag. I create, you know, but I come from Miami and I come from the inner city of Miami, and I went to a school that's considered the hood, and it was black and brown. And I grew up, you know, with a family that's from Puerto Rico, because I didn't grow up with my Dominican family. I grew up with my mom's family. And my grandmother migrated here from Puerto Rico in the 50s. My mom was born in Puerto Rico, but I was born in Boston. And when my grandmother came to the Northeast, which people
Can I just stop for a second because I'm streaming in
I knew
Boston.
you were going to get excited.
I'm sorry. Like, this is my first actual person that was born in Boston on the show, so I have to take a moment. Okay, you can continue because this is exciting.
Boston, and you know, it's funny. It was the misnomer that people of color had that if they went to the Northeast, that it wasn't the South, that it wasn't as racist. So my grandmother came from Caguas, Puerto Rico, Afro-Latina, you know, and right into the civil rights movement. Right into that. And so, you know, I always grew up with this awareness because you'll see in my new special, I have this new jokes about a lot of stuff about colonization because I'm focusing on that, is that Latino families, they have Puerto Rican families a lot. They have children that all look like different nationalities because of the blood, right? All the blood.
Yeah.
And they all have un chino, like they say, because in Latino, to Latinos, anybody who's Asian is chino. Like they don't know differentiate between the Asians. But we always have the Asian looking and then there's the black one, and there's the halal, all the code words that we have for blackness and Latin culture, because we're afraid to say the word black or like it's something bad.
Right.
And so there's a rainbow of children that we have. And so my grandmother comes to the United States with all these different looking kids. And it was just a very interesting experience for her that really informed me in America in terms of race, because I think that a lot of Latinos walk around thinking that they're white until they encounter white supremacy face on, and then they have to face the reality that you only white in your circles, but to America, you just, you know, they got the code words for all of us. So I decided that as a comedian, I wanted to talk about those things. I never wanted to do the easy stuff, you know. I always wanted to do the stuff that was going to make you cringe, because that's my favorite kind of comedy anyway. So
it was like, when you say this stuff, so talk to me about your favorite comedian. It's obviously because I am from that school of like, I love those comics that just be like, let's go. Like, you're going to feel uncomfortable, but you're going to laugh. And
you're going to learn.
Which I think, to be honest with you, in the space that you're in, Aida, especially as a Latina in this space, I can't think of maybe 2 or 3 comics like you out there who are bringing, let's go. And does that make you, like, do you feel that you're free now doing it? Because I feel like as a creator, I love this sort of attitude that you have. I'm like, I'm fucking doing this and I don't give a shit. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from you. Do you feel like that's helping you like create more and you're funnier because you're realer? So not that you're not real, you know what I'm saying? But I
think what you're saying, you know what? I started like this, right? But I started comedy as a grown up, and I was like, look, I'm not coming here to make white people laugh at us. I don't want to be the comedian that's reinforcing stereotypes and tropes so that white people, because they don't respect you anyway when you do that, right? That's not who I am. I'm not going to shuck and jive for anybody. I'm not going to reinforce stereotypes. I'm not going to go, whoa, I got 7 kids from 5, you know, I'm not doing that. So I made a decision that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it my way. And I've never changed. If you go back to the footage from when I started doing stand-up, it's always been uncomfortable. It's always been who I am. And I figured they would either find me or I would just, you know, I'll be 80 doing these awkward jokes and never, you know, I don't want it another way. Like, I don't want to be successful at the expense of making fun of Black and brown people. Like, I just don't get anything out of that, right? So what's the point of being rich if you're the only one, right? So, and I love, you know, Richard Pryor is my king, right? I love Richard Pryor.
Word. He's the best.
You know, and I like George Carlin. I used to listen to George Carlin, and I love when people tell comedians, or they'll tell me, hey, stick to jokes. Stop talking about social issues and politics. And I'm like, and George Carlin is always in the top 5 list of everybody. I'm like, oh, are you saying that to me because I'm a Latina? Like, I'm a woman of color? You weren't telling this white man to stick to politics and social issues. Genius for doing it, but I'm out of place for doing it. So I'm not going to stop doing it. I mean, I don't, what are we doing here? Like, why do we want to be, even as an artist, do you want to live a life where you're the only one staring out of your balcony while the rest of the world burns? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think art and activism are connected. And if you are an artist and you are compelled to, you know, to speak to what's around you, then you got to feel about what's around you.
Absolutely. And you know, I just had this thought right now. The personal is political, always. Yeah. And especially when you are a woman, when you're a Black, Latina, Indigenous, when you're a person of color, like, we don't get that choice to be like, I don't really like to get political. Like, that's not an option. That's a privilege, right? That's a luxury.
I love that voice, Melinna. What is that?
You know,
I don't like to get
when I say things like that, I have to get into my Becky voice. It just happens.
But you know,
I love
that. So I one of the things that and speak to speak to that point of like the personal is political. One of the things that I love about your work is that you start from a very honest place. You start from the self, and in your Netflix special, that is you know, the Tiffany Haddish's They Ready. I love that you talk about, like, yeah, my mom's side is Puerto Rican, my dad's side is Dominican, my stepdad was Cuban, and you use that to enter into this moment of truth, like, and Latinos are racist.
Yeah.
So
brilliant.
And that is something that we know, that we've lived through, what we experience with our family, with our community. You know, whether you're Mexican and you're Guatemalan or you're Boricua, whatever it is, right? Like, there's a color gradient, there's colorism, there's you know, proximity to assimilation and whiteness. And I think that I guess I just want to ask you, like, how has that been received? How have you used all of your intersections to speak these truths and to really bust down those doors?
So, I mean, like anything, when you are, it depends on who's listening to what you're saying, right? Because when you talk to somebody who's operating from a different consciousness, they're operating on a certain frequency, you can't deny it, right? And so things that's funny is, like, because when I talk about Latinos being racist, and then I say further beyond that, the only ones who get to be racist are the white ones, right? Because now when you're talking about people of color, you're talking about them being anti-Black, people, because a Black Latino doesn't get to be racist because they can't be racist because they don't have power, you know, they're not in the positions of power.
Yeah.
People,
they're not in the dominant group.
No.
Period.
You know, it was received well, and then I had certain people that were very angry with me. You know, I got threats. I was told, you know, there were some Dominican people that were very upset with me. There were Cubans that were upset with me. You know, there were some Puerto Ricans that were upset with me. And, you know, I operate from a place where everything I do from love. I love my people. And that's why you can't, like, when people say, you know, like, when you love somebody, if you can't be real about them,
right,
then that's not real.
It's not love. It's not love. It's not real love if you can't, like, the best relationships in the world are when you have to be honest with someone that you love, because I feel you. I feel you with that.
That's why the people who blindly support Donald Trump, I don't respect, because those are the people.
Transition. I love it.
No, and go with me here, because when I hear people say, you know, they roll with everything that he does, then that lets me know you don't love him, you worship him. Because if you loved him, then you would be able to say, this is not okay, that is not okay. I mean, you know how hard it was for Black people to be able to say, Obama failed us here, Obama did this, the first Black president. And still, so many Black people were able to say, he failed us in this place. He didn't do this. Because you can't love somebody if you can't tell the truth about them. And I'm not people, but we have some severe issues. They are rooted in divide and conquer. Colonialism and colonization has had its clutches, its fingernails in us from the beginning. And now we're dealing with the ugliness, having to face it and deal with it. And you know what's funny is that it's really messed up that the impetus is us feeling the animus towards us as well now, to say, wait a minute, now us too? Now that you see videos of Latinos getting killed by the cops, now that you see people telling people to go back to their country, you know, when Donald Trump got elected, you know how many people tweeted me and said, guess who's going back to their country? And I'm like,
as if it was like and you're like, shut up.
Yeah.
You stupid bitch. I'm from Boston. That's like the most. I was born in Boston. That's
like the whitest place. That's the whitest, most segregated place in the Northeast. Speaking someone who lives in Boston. Yeah, come on.
Like American city, like, you know. And it's funny because when we started the riots and the uproar, I was like, we learned it from y'all. The Boston Tea Party, the massacre, the Oklahoma, you know, Black Wall Street massacre. Like this is so American. What are you guys doing? So upset.
But Tamika Mallory, who is this amazing Black activist and was one of the founders of the Women's March, she is always so radical and so honest and so specific. And she said that, you know, a few weeks ago at the beginning of the uprising and the rebelling in response to the murder of George Floyd, she's like, I don't want to get distracted talking about, you know, the building that is burning and the tagging here. And, well, you know, I don't mind protests if they're peaceful, but no. We literally, like you said, we learned it from you. Yeah. So
but it's
violence. That's the roots of this country.
Yeah, the history of this country is rooted in violence. People have glorified the American Revolution. I love the fact that I got a Bostonian, you know, here telling me, you know, saying the Boston Tea Party, where in the time it's like they literally took the economy and threw it in the Boston Harbor.
They did.
Yeah, it's like that, you know, the amount of tea that was tossed out in like real dollars. Like you couldn't have tea anywhere in the United States right now. That's how much tea they put out in the water. And
I think somebody should do a video about that and break it down with all the hypocrisy that you hear today. And as Latinos, indigenous people, Afro-indigenous, whatever you identify as, I think it's interesting where the people who so violently took our land and what belonged to us from Puerto Rico to Peru to Mexico to Jamaica, you know, and when we talk about America, the United States of America, they took everything so violently from everybody. Look what they took from Black people. They took everything from them, their names, their culture, their religion, their connection, their family values. And then they turn around and say to us, you have the right to a peaceful protest. And it's like, get out of here with that. Yeah. Get out. What are you talking about? Really?
Rage and anger is truly the only logical and natural healthy response to these conditions.
It's the only thing they understand anyway, because that's how they've acquired what they have. So how are you going to tell people of color, we give you the right to a peaceful protest, according to a document that didn't take us into consideration when it was created in the first place? So piss me with all that.
I'm with you. But here's the question I have for you, because one of the things I love the bit. I love what you do, and you just, and especially when you look at ourselves as a community and our shit, right? And I think part of like in this space right now, how whiteness is almost celebrating our like the way you say it's like go back to your own country, but like this whole notion of like there's racism in the Latino community, or there's racism in, you know, an Asian community, or even like we had when we were talking about you know, Arab communities and how and it all with colonialism and imperialism. And one of the things that I get when we talk about this is then you have sort of like these white people be like, you see, like you're racist too, and it's almost like different. Right, you're like you know, and I'm kind of like, you can't have when you have people like, I'm talking about like non-Latinx, non-Black members of people that watch your comedy, like Do you think they misinterpret what you're saying? Do they think like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always getting accused by white people of being racist. And I'm like, I wish if I was racist, you wouldn't know how to read until you're 40. If I was racist. Because that would mean I would have power to keep you from being able to learn how to read.
Right.
And I don't think you understand that we're talking about systemic racism. We're not talking about bigotry and prejudice, which many people are. Like everyone has their biases. But when you start calling people racist because you're uncomfortable with the reality that you have privilege and power, it's uncomfortable. We're not racist, we're reactionary. What we're doing is doing what we learned from you. We were not aware of this. We were minding our own business, right? We were walking about doing our own business, and y'all came here in the name of asylum. And now you want to take that away from others who come here for the same reason. You came here seeking asylum, religious asylum, political asylum. You were deemed the undesirables of Europe, and you came here, and then you implemented horrific, awful strategies to acquire what was not yours. And now you want to turn around. Do you know that? Can you imagine somebody breaking into your house?
Okay.
All comfortable into your and when you come back to your house where you at the movies, they beat your ass for being in your own house and then kick you out of your own house.
Yeah.
And so,
but if this is in the name of God and this is divine right. Okay?
Name of,
oh my God. Now it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense to me.
And then you do that, and then you say, this is not enough. Let's go kidnap some people. And then you go to Africa, you kidnap some people, and then you tell them, y'all sold yourselves into slavery. Come on, man. And then they wrote it all in these books. They give them to us, and then we walk around with low self-esteem trying to get them to pat us on the head. Those days are over, my man. We're not doing that anymore.
Wow.
I love to hear it. And you're right. Those days are over. This is the reckoning. It's I'm not willing to go backwards. I'm only willing to move forward in justice and really speaking truth to these systems. You know, I have to shout out Maytha Al-Hassan, who we had as a guest 2 weeks ago. She's a writer for Rami and an educator. And she's actually the person that connected Aida and I. And it was just kind of like this divine connection. It's like an immediate bond, but it's like I don't even want to say how long we've known each other because then I'd be giving my age away, and I don't do that.
Keep that. So you guys are tough. That's all. Let's just
anyway,
I'm down with everyone. I got you.
I think when we talk about like those days are over,
they're
over because we're ready to talk and to speak truth, and to going back to credit Maytha, she talks about. She says, I don't like to say we speak truth to power because we are power. We speak truth to the systems, to these institutions, but we, the collective we, the community, we are the power. And we're starting to see that, like, we have to say the words that make people cringe and make their panties bunch, like white supremacy. It's not enough to say, I want diversity and inclusion and representation. Okay, that's cute. How many chocolate chips you want in your cookie? But that cookie still, the main dough is still going to be white. So
look at you, just breaking it out.
Up. I want to see, and I say this all the time, like, I don't want a seat at the table because that table has termites. That table is on top of a fault line. Like, quita esa mesa asquerosa. We're going to build our own. But Aida, and I want to get your thoughts on that. Like, why do you think this is done? Like, what is your response? What have you been feeling these past few weeks in terms of, the Latinx response to police brutality and to responding to demanding and to dismantling white supremacy and joining forces with the movement for Black Lives? Like, what does that look like?
Well, a lot of us are at the intersection of Latinidad and Blackness.
Exactly.
The other thing is that the police brutality has always existed in our communities as well. We don't get, and I want to be careful when I speak these messages because I have been I've been in conversations with people or on panels with Latinos who blame Black people for Latinos not getting the attention in the media. And I'm like, divide and conquer is real. I said, we have to stop looking at each other and start looking up to figure out who our oppressors are.
Right.
We got to follow.
We can't oppress each other. The oppression Olympics that we do on each other.
Yeah,
it's just playing into white supremacy. It's so obvious. We're playing into power. We're just playing into it.
It's part of the whole game. And the thing
Right.
is, when you talk about why you don't see a lot of coverage of police brutality and law enforcement brutality in our communities is because we have to worry about the undocumented. We have to worry about ICE and law enforcement with regards to people not reporting a lot of stuff because they don't want to get in trouble and they don't want to report because they don't want to get deported. So then there's a faction of these people who are out there abusing undocumented people that you'll never know about because of the situation. Then the other thing is, when it comes to the media, do you honestly think the media is also going to start highlighting all the Latinos who are getting killed and mistreated by the police? Do you understand that that will call for solidarity between Black and brown people, and that will really turn on its head? So when you think about it from a systemic point of view, and you look at why are they going to be putting Andres Guardado and Sandy Guardiola, why are they going to show you these people? Because they know that everybody's going to be like, wait a minute, and don't even think about it. My daughter's friend from high school who was Persian was murdered by the police in Long Beach with no shirt on, armed. He was having a mental breakdown and they killed him. And he was Persian. So just think about all the minorities who are being abused, but then you have to think about the cultural constructs that they deal with as to why they don't report the police. Because immigrants have this different perception of law enforcement because they're always making us feel like we're lucky to be here. Right. Black people didn't have a choice, right? But we're the ones swimming across, waters. We're the ones walking from different countries and crossing borders to come here. So they always make us feel we're very meek, we're very humble, and we're quite honestly sometimes scared. We don't want to walk around. We're like, oh no, vamos a hacer eso.
Yeah, don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. Listen, Aida, before we, oh my God, you dropped. I'm still stuck on the whole if you don't love Trump, you worship him, because if you loved him, you would tell him real that just figured out Trump for me. So I appreciate you. After 6 years, I've been trying to figure out Trump for 5 years, and you finally broke it down for me. But listen, before you go, what are you doing now? Shout out where people can find you, your work, because obviously there's a lot of people commenting. I've been looking at the stream. You're keeping it real. I think you got some new fans. You got you got regular fans here, but I think you made some new fans tonight. So you got Preach, Rise Up. So this is your opportunity. Where can people find you and your current work?
So I'm excited right now because I have I got some things going on, some things that I want to shout out. First and foremost, on Fridays at 12 p.m., I have a show called Truth Serum. And it is a show where we talk about political and social issues, but from our perspective, the perspective of people of color, where you don't see that. I'm not afraid to have 3 Latinas on a panel, which I have to.
Oh, no.
Because we have, Melinna's on the show tomorrow, but we have,
nice.
We're really talking about, we're breaking down the things from our perspective because they politicize everything for us now. It's either the Democrats, the liberals, let's talk about the issue and how they affect us and our community.
Word.
I'm working on my new hour special that's going to be on HBO Max. And so I'm going to shoot it next year. And I'm very excited about it because I have nothing but time to write and nothing but material everywhere around me. And I'm developing a show with HBO Max. That's a half-hour scripted comedy based on my stand-up. And it's aimed at giving voices and showing people that you've never seen before on camera. Like a Black lawyer that only speaks Spanish, where you don't, because we just don't see those images on television. Indigenous people who, are not carrying fruits. Those are the things that I'm focusing on. And you can always find me on Facebook. It's Aida Rodriguez. This is streaming to my page. But I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at FunnyAida. And if you are of the faint of heart, if you soft, don't come to my shit because we give it to you straight with no chaser. We don't do none of that fuckboy shit on my page. So if you
So listen, now that you talk, because I also do In the Thick with Maria Hinojosa, which is our political podcast from a POC perspective.
You gotta do my show though.
Yeah, we want to bring you on. Maria is going to love you, and we've been doing it for 5 years. So we got to make sure that we make that happen because we want you on In the Thick. And thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it. You kept it real. What a great last show of the second season of Latino. I'm already saying season. I called it iteration. I'm like, season 1 was me just doing shit. Yeah. Season 2 is like I have a director and a co-host and fabulous guests. So I'm very excited. But we will stay in touch. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank
you, Aida. See you tomorrow.
So, wow, Melinna. Wow.
Julio, is this where we write in each other's yearbook and say keep in touch?
Yeah, this is the part where we're gonna break into a musical where it's like it's almost like Dear Evan Hansen. It's like first of all, I'm just gonna say you came on and I'm hoping I could bring Andrew on for a second. Andrew, can we bring you on for a second? Or are you not gonna make this happen?
Oh my God, do y'all want to see Andrew?
Our director?
Like,
is he on?
Just start typing it out.
Oh yeah, I'm on. He's on.
He's a shy mijo.
Look, he's on brand with Latino Rebels. First of all, I need to tell you and Melinna that I appreciate you guys saying yes to this crazy idea because I know when we were doing this and I was like, Melinna's like, you got to keep doing it. And both of you misfits were like, yeah, we'll do this for a month. And I say misfits in a lot of ways. So, everyone, this is Andrew Vasquez, our director, who's been doing a fabulous job for the last month, who has made us look really good. Thank you so much, Andrew. And you wanna say anything? I mean,
my audio's not great, so.
Spoken like a true tech guy.
But Andrew, in his own right, is a phenomenal film director.
Yes.
He's a cineasta. So you will be seeing his work very soon. He has a short film right now that's going to festival. He has multiple films.
Yeah, and we're very excited that he's on. But I want to tell the two of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have made me love creativity again in a lot of ways. I felt like I needed to do something different. Like we did a little run of a show. And we did it for 4 weeks. And all you fans, all you comments out there, we will be back. I'm telling you, we will be back. And the plan that we're going to do is we're going to take all this video that you've seen. Andrew's going to create this beautiful little package. We're going to pitch it. We're going to do things. We'll come back maybe on Facebook later. But I just want to thank everyone for the love because what you've seen in the last couple of weeks is sort of the evolution of a late night show that could happen if we get the support. So if you really loved what you saw and its own little basic, let's do it on Facebook and we can, like, we're here. Like, these are the conversations that we want to have, right, Melinna? Like, this is what we want. I mean, just give me your final thoughts because this is not goodbye. This is not goodbye. But you know what I mean?
This is not goodbye.
What do you think of the last?
See you later. I told you, don't ask me to start singing. What do I think about our last show? I mean, I'm thankful to you. I'm really grateful to you, Julio, and to everyone at Futuro Media for saying yes, for bringing me on, for greenlighting this, and for trusting my vision and my voice, and for not clipping my wings, and for not trying to silence me or dampen my honesty and my radicals perspective. I'm an actor, I'm an artist, I'm a creator. My roots are in community work and in education. And so I often feel like I have a yearning to have a separate space where it's not just about audition and about, rubbing, elbows or whatever at some Hollywood event.
Yeah.
And where I can just be as honest and specific and truthful and insightful and critical as I am in my everyday life, and these are the conversations that I want to engage in more and more. I do appreciate the value of this show and really just being about our truth and the truth of our guests, as opposed to, it's stripped down. It's like DIY. It's kind of punk rock. Like, but this is what we become
accustomed
to in quarantine.
I know,
I don't know if we need all the bells and whistles, because
No.
the truth is what we bring, and I think that's powerful in and of itself.
Yeah,
So
and
thank you.
I just want to thank you again and thank all our fans. Before we go, can you name the one favorite moment that you had in the last 4 weeks? Because I got one. I
That's
want to
so
hear yours.
hard.
Just one.
That's so
One.
I I think back to the first show that I got to do as the special correspondent, where
With
we had
Alicia.
Alicia Garza,
Garza.
co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, Black Futures Lab, who was just so brilliant and warm, and
It was
such a
great.
powerful leader, who you should all follow. But I think we were just in the rawness of the moment, where we were kind of getting theoretical about what we were talking about, and then she was like, sometimes I have to check how I say things, and it just made me think of this Erykah Badu song, and we shared that moment, and we started singing some bars from it. That was cool. Today was a highlight. I wish I could hang out with everybody at once.
We're gonna make
And
it
I also,
happen.
I have to say, I did get giddy as a fangirl, existing in the same time space continuum as Maria Hinojosa, and getting.
I know you. Maria's
Happy
like.
birthday.
Can I just say yes? But you know what's funny? Because when we had snow on last night, I love Maria. I love Maria to death. She is like she's the older sister I never had. She's like the buddy I never had. She's like the queen of journalism.
La reina.
She's La reina. So I posted the clip that Andrew did of Snow, which is a great clip when Snow is talking about, how so many people are not proud of being Mexican.
Right.
And I love Maria. This is why I love Maria. She's like, I'm going to interview you next, Snow the Product. And I'm like, that's why I love Maria, because this is what Futuro Media is about. Snow comes to Latino Rebels. She comes on. Then Maria, and it's like, and Snow the Product might be on Latino USA in the next couple months, because that's how we roll. So I just want to, and my last, I will say, there were so many favorite moments, but what I said today about Trump and love and worship, that really finally explained to me, it's a fanatic. Like I've been trying to wrap my head around this with Trump, and it's like, if you really love someone, you are truthful to that person that you love. People don't love Trump; they worship him. And I was like, wow, now I get it.
Yeah, and he gives them a green light to the racism that they've always.
That's always been there.
Yeah,
so listen, we're gonna bring it home, Melinna. You were fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you guys again, if you love Latino Rebels, we have 43 of these shows, and you can totally see the evolution from my first guest, Christian Enriquez, who was my first producer at Latino Rebels Radio, to what we did today. We did this over the course of 3 months, figuring it all out. We now have all this amazing shows that we're going to turn it into a package. We're going to pitch it. We're going to go out to the coast, as they say. We're going to go out, and we're going to say, like, we want a late night show like this, because you guys deserve it. We want to have these conversations. So if you believe in this, simply go to futuromedia.org, go to latinorebels.com. We're a nonprofit. Even if it's like $2, $3, and just say like, hey, I want Latino Rebels Radio Live to be a show. Those things go a long way. I'm telling you guys, it doesn't matter. We really want to continue doing this. We're going to make this work. We're going to do it ourselves, but you can also share this and be like, this is the type of show that I want. So I love you. I have had a great 3 months. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. I could break into song, but I won't.
We've only just begun.
We've only just begun. By the Carpenters.
On I'm on there more than I'd like to admit.
And I want to thank my mom for being like, you should do it. I want to thank my family, my friends. I want to personally thank Erica Dilday, CEO, Executive Director of Futuro Media, Deepa Dande, Board Chair, and of course, the fabulous Maria Hinojosa, who said, Julio, just go do it. Just go do it. We got your back. Guys, we love you. We will be back. I need to take a vacation. I'm telling you, we will be back. I want to keep going, but I'm going to have another tequila. I love you guys a lot. We'll be back. Melinna, abrazos. And
abrazos.
Latino Rebels Radio Live signing off for now, but we'll be back soon. Stay safe, y'all. We love you.
Adios. Bye, y'all.